Elara was just 11 years old, but the streets of Solana had aged her soul. She spent her days watching over her mother, Amara, whose mind had been lost to an unknown illness. They had no home, no father, and no one to fight for their future. Elara had only 2 years of schooling before the kind woman paying her fees vanished, leaving her hopeless and forgotten. Still, she possessed a brilliance that the harsh world couldn't extinguish. One day, everything changed. She met Chloe, the daughter of a powerful tech mogul, who struggled despite attending the most prestigious school in the country. It was Elara, the barefoot girl from the streets, who became her secret teacher. But when Chloe's father, Mr. Sterling, discovered a homeless child tutoring his daughter under an old jacaranda tree, what he did next left everyone speechless. The beginning of a secret. The market woman's voice was a familiar sting. "Move it, you little beggar." A raw slap of spit landed just inches from Elara's bare feet, but she didn't flinch. She was used to the insults. "Is this a garbage dump? You and that madwoman better disappear before I pour water on you." Elara tightened her grip on her mother, Amara, who sat beside the gutter, lost in her own world. Amara mumbled to herself, tracing patterns in the dust with a trembling finger. Her worn sarong had slipped, revealing scars and filth, but she didn't notice. Passers-by stared, some with pity, others with disgust, but no one ever helped. Elara was only 11, but the streets had taught her to be resilient. The names they called her, daughter of the madwoman, gutter girl, cursed child, no longer made her cry. What hurt most was the empty pity, the shake of a head without the hand of help. On rare lucid days, Amara would sing old lullabies and call Elara princess. But these moments were fleeting. Most days, Amara couldn't remember where she was. She would scream at her reflection in puddles and throw stones at shadows. Elara had no father, not even a name or a photo. "Who's my daddy?" she had once asked years ago. Amara had looked at her with hollow eyes and replied, "I don't know, the wind. Maybe the wind." They slept under a broken newsstand near the bustling Porto market. Their mattress was a flattened cardboard box, their blanket the silent night. Elara had forgotten what it was to dream. Survival was her only language. Each morning, Amara would wake up screaming. Elara would hold her close, whispering, "It's me, Mommy. It's me." She'd gently clean her mother with a rag and some water from a gutter pipe, then lead her to their begging spot. Amara begged, Elara watched. That was their life. That morning, Elara tucked her mother's sarong more tightly around her. "Mommy, just be quiet today, okay?" she whispered. But Amara suddenly stood and shouted at a passing car, "Give me back my wings. I left them in your trunk." The driver swerved, and Elara's cheeks burned with shame. She looked across the street and saw a schoolgirl, neatly dressed, holding a lunchbox, staring at her. The girl quickly looked away, whispering and laughing with a friend. Elara looked down at her dusty legs, her chipped toenails, her grumbling stomach. Still, beneath it all, she dreamed. She dreamed of sitting in a classroom, of raising her hand to answer questions, of wearing a uniform, of reading books. She whispered to herself, "One day, I will sit in a real classroom. One day I will escape this cursed corner of Solana." As she reached into her bag to count the few coins they had, a hawker shouted behind her, "May poverty burn like thunder." Elara held her mother tighter and whispered, "Amen." A glimmer of hope. The change began with a plate of jollof rice. Elara had been crouching beside her mother near Plaza Square, her stomach aching with hunger. Amara was having one of her silent days, just rocking back and forth. That's when Elara noticed a woman watching her from across the road. The woman, fair-skinned and full-bodied, stood behind a food stall. Her gaze was different, it held no pity. Minutes later, the woman crossed the road and stood before her. "What's your name?" she asked gently. Elara whispered, "Elara." The woman's eyes softened. "What did you eat today?" Elara didn't answer. Instead of pressing, the woman held out a covered takeaway plate. "Here, eat." Elara hesitated. Strangers didn't give food for free. "Don't worry," the woman smiled. "I'm not like the others." That was the first time she met Auntie Lena. The rice was sweet, the meat tender. That evening, Auntie Lena returned with bottled water and soap. "What's your story, child?" she asked. Elara told her everything, the madness, the streets, the hunger, the hope. Auntie Lena wiped her hands with a handkerchief. "Tomorrow, come to my shop. You'll help me clean, and in return, I'll feed you. Deal?" Elara nodded so hard her head almost fell off. The next day, she swept, washed plates, and served customers. One afternoon, Auntie Lena found her writing numbers in the sand with a stick. "Where did you learn that?" she asked. "From watching the school near the main road," Elara replied. "I memorized what the teacher said." Auntie Lena was silent for a long time. The next week, she brought Elara a new exercise book and pencils. A few weeks later, Elara stood inside a dusty public school classroom, her heart pounding. The second-hand uniform Auntie Lena had bought was too big, but it felt like a crown. "Make me proud," Auntie Lena had said. On her first day, children stared, but when the teacher asked a question and Elara answered it before anyone else could, everything changed. She was brilliant. She answered questions older students couldn't, memorized poems instantly, and wrote with speed and precision. Even the headmistress asked, "Who trained this child?" Elara always said, "Auntie Lena." Every evening, she returned to the food stand to work. Her real reward was watching Auntie Lena nod and say, "Good girl." It was the first time Elara had felt seen. The gates close again. Just when life seemed to be turning around, everything changed. One night, Auntie Lena came home with a white envelope. "My sister in the UK finally processed my papers," she said, tears in her eyes. "After 7 years of waiting." Elara smiled. "So we're traveling?" Auntie Lena's smile faded. "No, Elara, just me." The room grew quiet. "What about me?" Elara blinked. "I paid for your school up to this term," Auntie Lena sighed. "Maybe God will send someone else to help you." Elara stared at her plate, wanting to scream. But she only nodded. 3 weeks later, Auntie Lena was gone. No one came to pay the next term's fees. The headmistress said, "We're sorry, Elara. Without fees, you can't remain." Elara waited outside the school gate for hours, clutching her books, waiting for Auntie Lena to come back. She never did. As the sun set, the gateman told her it was time to go. Elara walked away, but she didn't go home. The broken newsstand she and her mother used to sleep in had a new tenant. The streets had changed. The only constant was her mother, still mad, still talking to ghosts. When Elara found her that night, Amara was trying to feed a dead pigeon with water. "Mommy, it's me. Let's go somewhere safe," Elara whispered. But her mother only hissed and slapped her. Elara wiped the blood from her lip and sat beside her anyway. They spent the night curled on the pavement. The next morning, Elara put on her faded uniform again and walked back to the school, hoping they would change their minds. But the headmistress saw her and frowned. "Why are you here again?" "I told you, no fees, no school." Elara stammered, "I'll pay. I will." "How?" the woman scoffed. "You and that crazy woman don't even eat well. This is not charity. Leave." The gates closed, and Elara sat by the wall, crying into her book until the letters blurred. Days turned into weeks. She tried returning to the food stand, but it had a new owner. Elara sold her last pair of sandals for a few coins to buy food. Her uniform faded, her notebook was destroyed by rain, and her notes became unreadable. She was just another street girl now, another shadow. Still, Her mind was her only treasure, and she believed one day it would change everything. A secret sanctuary. No matter how many times they chased her away, Elara kept returning. Every morning, she would find her way to the back fence of Evergreen Academy, a private school that looked like a palace. The students wore blazers and sparkling shoes, their names neatly stitched on their uniforms. There was a small, cracked window behind a classroom, next to an old jacaranda tree. It was her secret place. From there, she could see everything: the chalkboard, the math problems, the teacher. Elara would quietly mouth the answers, clutching a broken pencil stub. Her notebook was gone, so she wrote on scraps of paper she found. One Monday, she wasn't fast enough. The teacher noticed her, a ragged girl with bright eyes peeking from the window. "Hey, who's that?" the woman yelled. Elara froze. A student pointed and said with disgust, "It's that crazy girl again." The class burst into laughter. The teacher stormed outside. "What do you want? Who sent you here?" "I just want to learn," Elara stammered. "Please, just let me listen." "Are you mad? Go and tell your mother to pay school fees," the teacher barked, raising a stick. Elara turned and ran. But she didn't give up. She found another school, Bright Scholars Academy, and listened from a broken part of the fence. A boy threw a stone at her one morning, calling her a witch. "She's mad like her mummy," another child laughed. Still, she came the next day. One afternoon, a security guard saw her and dragged her by the arm. "Next time I see you here, I'll beat you," he warned. As she limped away, Elara looked at the bright walls, the desks, the blackboard, everything she longed for, yet couldn't touch. She sat under a tree, writing multiplication tables in the dust, only for the wind to blow them away. That night, she whispered to the stars, "God, why did you give me this brain just to suffer?" There was no answer. The first meeting. The first time Elara saw Evergreen Academy up close, she was a hawker, her neck nearly snapping from the weight of a tray of bottled water. The school had tall, polished gates guarded by men in navy uniforms. It was a school for the rich, definitely not for her. But today, something inside her said, "Go closer." She crept around the side fence, found a small gap, and slipped in. Her heart pounded like a war drum. She found a quiet spot behind a large jacaranda tree and crouched low, copying words she heard onto a scrap of nylon. She was sounding out a difficult English passage when she heard a voice behind her. "You're the girl they always chase away, right?" Elara's heart stopped. She spun around. A girl her age stood there, her hair in neat braids, her uniform spotless. Her name tag read Chloe Sterling. "I didn't mean any harm," Elara stammered. "I was just listening." "Why?" Chloe asked. "Because I want to learn," Elara said, confused. "You don't go to school?" "No. My mother is sick. We live on the streets." Chloe looked down at her polished shoes. "People laugh at me, too," she said quietly. "They say I'm dumb. That my dad paid the school to keep promoting me." Elara looked up, surprised. "You?" Chloe nodded. "I don't understand anything they teach in class. Everyone's always ahead of me." A long silence passed. Then Chloe smiled. "Do you want to sit?" Elara hesitated, but Chloe sat first and patted the ground beside her. Elara slowly lowered herself to the grass. Chloe pulled a textbook from her bag. "Can you teach me this? I don't get it." The page showed fractions. Elara gently took the book. "Okay, so look, when you see 1/2 and 1/4, they don't have the same denominator." Chloe listened wide-eyed. Within minutes, she was solving problems she had struggled with all term. "I understand." Chloe gasped. "You're not dumb," Elara smiled shyly. "And you're not just smart. You're amazing." They sat under the tree for over an hour. When the bell rang, Chloe stood. "Will you come tomorrow?" she asked. "They'll chase me," Elara said. "Wait here." Chloe ran off, returning a few minutes later with a security guard. "This is my friend," Chloe said firmly. "Her name is Elara. She'll be here tomorrow during lunch. Let her in." The guard looked confused. "She's my friend," Chloe repeated, "and my daddy owns this school." "You have a problem with that?" The guard said nothing. As Elara left, she felt something new, not fear, not shame, but hope. That night, as her mother sang to a broken bottle, Elara prayed, "God, I met someone today. She saw me. Please don't let this be a dream." She then fell asleep with a smile, the first in a very long time. A world of their own. They met every single day under the jacaranda tree. Elara came barefoot in her torn gown, clutching a plastic bag with scraps of paper. Chloe came in her ironed uniform with a lunchbox. Two girls from two different worlds, but under that tree, nothing else mattered. Their friendship grew like a fire. Chloe laughed more now and paid attention in class. "Don't read it like a robot," Elara would whisper. "Read it like you're talking to your best friend." When Chloe got it right, Elara would clap with joy, and Chloe's eyes would shine. One afternoon, Chloe asked, "Do you have a best friend?" "You," Elara replied without thinking. Chloe smiled. "Me, too." Then her smile faded. "What if my daddy finds out? What if he says we can't be friends?" "Then you'll forget me," Elara said softly. "That's how it works." "No," Chloe snapped. "I won't." "He'll be angry," Elara said. "Rich people don't want their daughters sitting with girls like me. My mother begs on the road. Some people say I'm cursed." "You're not cursed," Chloe whispered. "You're magic." Elara blinked, stunned. "Who else can teach better than all my teachers? Who else can make me laugh when I feel like crying? Who else can make a place like this feel like home?" They started sharing more than food and textbooks. Chloe brought Elara a hairbrush, a small notepad, and a pair of slippers. Elara, in return, told stories about stars falling in love with street kids and mothers healed by the rain. For the first time in her life, Chloe didn't feel alone, and Elara didn't feel invisible. But they kept it a secret. Chloe didn't tell her teachers, her classmates, or her father, Mr. Sterling, one of the most feared and respected billionaires in the city. How do you tell a man who runs tech companies and sits on TV panels that your best friend is a street girl with no shoes? One day, Elara was late. "My mom had an episode," she said, panting. "I had to pull her away before she got hit." Chloe hugged her tightly. "I thought you weren't coming." "Even if I had to crawl, I would come," Elara chuckled. Chloe pulled back, a fire in her eyes. "One day, I'll tell my dad. I promise." Elara swallowed hard. "What if he says no?" "Then I'll scream until he says yes." That night, Elara lay beside her mother and stared at the sky. "God," she whispered. "Please don't let me lose this one." She pulled out the notepad Chloe gave her. On the first page was a drawing, two stick girls holding hands under a jacaranda tree, one in a uniform, one in rags, both smiling. The moment of truth. The morning started like any other. Chloe sat through her classes, tapping her desk, waiting for the lunch bell. The teachers praised her improved performance. Even the principal mentioned it during assembly, but Chloe didn't care. She knew the real reason for her change was Elara. At exactly 12:35 p.m., she was under the jacaranda tree with a lunchbox and Elara's favorite biscuits. Then she heard it, the low hum of black SUVs rolling into the compound. Mr. Sterling didn't visit the school without warning. His name alone carried weight. Chloe's stomach dropped. Then, Elara appeared, breathless and smiling. "I'm here," she said. But Chloe wasn't smiling. Her eyes were locked on the tall, impeccably dressed figure stepping out of the SUV, her father. "Is that?" Elara whispered, her body stiffening. Chloe nodded slowly. "I have to go," Elara whispered, but it was too late. "Chloe," the deep voice echoed across the lawn. Mr. Sterling walked toward them, his eyes sharp and confused. "What are you doing out here?" "I was having lunch," Chloe said, her voice trembling. "With who?" Mr. Sterling's gaze fell on Elara, a girl in a torn gown with dusty legs, holding a worn-out nylon bag. His brow furrowed. "Who is this?" Elara bowed her head, her body trembling. Chloe stepped in front of her. "This is Elara. She's my friend." "You're what?" "She helps me," Chloe said firmly. "She teaches me. The reason I've been doing well in school is because of her. I understand her better than any teacher here." A long, heavy silence followed. Mr. Sterling's eyes remained fixed on the trembling girl. Then he asked quietly, "Who are your parents, child?" Elara's voice was barely a whisper. "My mother. Amara. She's sick."